friends, what's up? And thank you so much for stopping by and checking out my channel as always. For those of you who are new here, I'm Daniel from iosoundstudio.com, and we make inspiring music for artists all around the world, and my personal goal is to impact the world with music and to inspire and teach other people to do the very same thing. So in today's video, I kind of wanted to just share some of my own personal experience as a music producer with some of you guys who might be aspiring to do the same thing. All right, so here are 3 things that I personally wish that I would have known as a beginning music producer. Number 1, create content even when nobody is watching. Honestly, when you don't have a platform, that's really the best time to kind of try things and kind of learn what it actually is that you're going for. To be honest, in the beginning of your journey, you don't really have any idea what you're doing, and that is perfectly okay, right? None of us start off typically with a wealth of knowledge, unless you're coming from some sort of background in videography, or you had another YouTube channel, or something like that. But typically for most of us who are getting into music production and are trying to make content, a lot of it is like, what the heck am I doing? Because you don't really know. And so it's a really big learning curve. And honestly, when you have less eyes on your platform, this is the perfect time to experiment. It's a perfect time to figure out what you actually enjoy doing and the kind of content that you actually enjoy making. This is the time to kind of just trial and error a bunch of different concepts, a bunch of different things, and see what works and what doesn't. Also, this is the perfect time to start kind of developing and honing in your own brand. These first few months or the first few years are the perfect time for you to kind of just start figuring out who it actually is that you want to convey through your social media, right? You get to kind of figure out the personality that you want to portray to your audience. Do you want to come across as this really authentic, genuine person, which hopefully you do? Do you want to come across with some sort of persona? That's totally fine as well. Or what is kind of your angle? What's kind of your thing? What does your brand overall look like? These are the kinds of questions that you figure out in the first little while of doing social media. And frankly, it's better that you figure out these things now when there really isn't anyone watching. That way, when you do start to attract an audience, you can kind of just stick in your lane and stick to your brand for quite a while. And of course you're gonna grow, of course you're gonna change, and the audience members that come along are gonna go on the ride with you, but it's better to get all the main things ironed out from the very beginning. And it's also easier to maintain your brand if you have all the core things kind of figured out at the start as well. Lastly, creating content when no one is watching helps you to actually develop a brand new skill set. Making music is a skill set, but so is making content. How to actually get in front of a camera like I am right now, and to speak in a way that is authoritative, but also personable, and also share good, valuable information. It teaches you skills like video editing, photography, graphic design even, and it increases your ability to actually public speak and to talk in this kind of setting. Hey, and also if you're not subscribed yet, it would mean so much to me if you scroll down and just hit a couple of buttons. If you're enjoying this content, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to kind of just stay up to date with all of my posts. It goes a really, really long way to help support the channel. All right, back to the video. The second thing that I wish I would have been told as an early music producer is to make your brand look as good as you possibly can online. We don't really think about it all the time this way, but the reality is that the online platform serves as a sort of billboard for the content and the services that you can actually offer. If you can present your studio, if you can present your skill set in the best light possible online, the likelihood of that translating to work later down the road is actually very high. People typically take things at face value, right? They're typically scrolling through their feeds and they're going pretty quickly. So if you can't capture their attention with the appealing aesthetic or just with something very captivating from the jump, you're likely gonna lose them. And quite honestly, if you just post bad looking content or bad pictures with low image quality online on Instagram or whatever of your studio, then typically people just aren't gonna trust that you can actually make a great song based off of how you present your brand online. It's kind of annoying, it's kind of frustrating, I'm right there with you, but that is the reality of today's industry. And so in my opinion, if you're looking to be a music producer full-time, then really it's probably in your best interest to do everything that you can to make yourself and your studio and your skill set as a producer to look as great as they possibly can online, so that there are fewer things in the way between you as a producer and the income on the other side of the, I don't know what this is, on the other side of the boundary. And so as frustrating as it might be, I would encourage you to take some intentional time in developing new skills, like how to present your brand in the best possible light, or even how to develop a brand to begin with. It really, really, really goes a long way to authenticate you as a person and as a business and as a brand. And it really goes a long way in building trust to the people that are going to entrust you with their music. Now, if you're thinking, Daniel, I highly doubt someone is going to go with a different producer just because their business looks better online. Well, I'm going to tell you straight up that that is not true. Now, there may be times when that happens where someone actually does choose a worse looking studio online than yours, but typically you're going to outrank those people just as far as building trust and being legitimate goes online. Typically, people are going to want to trust people that have a better brand in general. For example, if you go to a website and like the first thing that you see is spam advertisements and that kind of thing, or it says like, you know, this website is unsecure, guess what? You're probably gonna pretty quickly click off of that website. Even though on the other side of this website's not secure, there might be a beautiful looking web page. As soon as you see those spam things or whatever, you're not gonna go to the website. It's the same kind of concept with your brand online. So I've talked a lot, let's go ahead and get to the next point. And this is definitely a really good one that I wish I would have learned a lot sooner. Number 3, if you have to chase down clients to work with you, then you're also going to have to chase down those same clients to pay you. Now, I think that's pretty self-explanatory, but the reality is that you have to keep on hounding and following up and following up and following up with a person who says that they want to work with you, and you finally do get them to sign a contract and get started on a project with you, then that's great. But the likelihood of that challenge continuing through the duration of the whole project and in the payment portion is super, super high. I've had people directly come to me and say, hey, your stuff looks great, your stuff sounds great, I really want to work with you. And then we have our initial call, and then we start getting into the process, and they get harder and harder to reach. It's more challenging. I have to keep on following up and, you know, saying, hey, how's the thing? Hey, are you still interested in working? Hey, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then we finally get through the whole project, and then that same exact energy continues into the payment portion of the project, which is super frustrating. So go ahead and save yourself a lot of that time and put in like strong boundaries at the beginning as far as communication goes. And that way you're gonna save yourself a huge headache and a lot of frustration throughout the duration of the project, and especially once you get to the final bit of the project, once you've actually completed the project and now you're expecting payment. And that definitely goes specifically for music producers, but really it goes for any service-based freelance type of business. If you have to be constantly hounding any client to, you know, continue on in the project or whatever, or like get back to you and like you're just not hearing back from them, or they're slow with replying, this is still going to apply. You're most likely going to get frustrated when you get to the payment portion of the project as well. Now, one thing that I have since done after encountering a couple of different clients like this is I now require 50% of payment up front and then 25% of the payment halfway through, and then the last 25 at the very end. That way, even if it's like such a huge headache to finally get them to pay or finally get them to complete the project or whatever it is, that way I already have the vast majority of the payment taken before we even get to the end of the project. And that makes it a little bit easier on me, and it incentivizes them to actually stay on top of it, get back to you quickly with responses and all of that. So thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video. If you made it this far, go ahead and comment down below anything that you wish you would have learned sooner as a music producer or as an entrepreneur in general. I think it'd be great for us to kind of just share all of our wisdom collectively down in the comment section below. So with that, thank you again. I'll see you again with a new video very soon. See ya. I have to poop!